Well, this is going to be a dour podcast here where not much is going on. This is the Sitton Football Uncensored podcast. Only joking. We're in the finals of the Euros, John.
I know.
Unbelievable. In my first time in my lifetime, we're in the final.
Yeah, no. To be fair, I was too young to remember the first one. I was only, what would I have been, six years of age. So I didn't really know what was going on. And all I remember is it being on black and white in my nan and granddad's house on a black and white telly.
Wow.
Yeah, so we've waited, 55 years. That's about
unbelievable.
Right. Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Awesome performance as well. What I want to do as well, use the podcast just to convey this message.
Yeah.
That's how I've tried to be. Live strong.
Fight.
That's how I've tried to be. Not relied on anybody. Just been my own man. Gone about my business. Ploughed my own furrow.
Yeah.
Tried not to be a liability. Right. But more importantly, just for the chaps, fight for glory.
Yeah, right? It's a fantastic motto, particularly against the eye ties. Yeah.
Yeah. And they might have to live strong for 95 minutes or even 120 minutes like they did the other night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Live strong, play strong.
Yeah. Yeah, they might have to go right through to extra time.
Well, I've got the World Cup 90 shirt on, which we obviously played in Italy. Nessun Dorma and all that. Hopefully we can we only lost in the semis, didn't we, in 1990? But
we've gone one better now.
We've gone one better, and hopefully we can win it. I mean, can you imagine if we win it, John?
I think it'd be a great boost. It's cut me to pieces in terms of like subject matter in my book. He come on because I was always saying back in the day, what's he going to do? You know what I mean? Like Greg Dyke, he was on the telly last night, all jumping on the bandwagon now, saying how they got it right, etc., etc. I mean, if we win it, it'd be phenomenal. It'd be a great boost in the arm for the country, for the economy, for football in this country. For the national side, I think we've shown the players have shown what I've been crying out for, and it's like the pot calling the kettle black because I was guilty of it early on in my career. I've been crying out for humility, for a team to buy into a doctrine, to buy into a coach's ideas. Just to buy into the idea of being shown a way and being willing to be coached and being willing to be organised and be humble enough to do something for somebody else. I think the team spirit has been nothing short of magnificent. Unbelievable. And great credit must go. I mean, they've gone overboard like with different things. I don't want to piss on anyone's parade, but they've gone overboard with a few of the celebrations. They showed these like fucking idiots who probably come out once every 4 years. They'd never in a million years are they football supporters. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They look like
jumping up and down on cars,
buses and cabs. Yeah. I don't know if you see the footage of poor man I7. So he'd be a recent guy, recently passed out, gone out and bought a 68 grand electric cab. That's probably a write-off now. Jumping up and down on caved the glass roof in and all that. You've got fucking idiots on the radio. One of them's meant to be a mate of mine thinking how funny it all was. People hanging from buses and jumping and being on the roof of a bus and hanging from the thing. And you're talking about like sort of hand-wringing pseudo-intellectuals who probably they go to one game every 4 years. You know, they go to college and, off of mummy and daddy's trust fund. They're never in a million years. Either that or they're feral street scum, you know what I mean? They're not proper football supporters. But anyway, there we are.
Well, even Jacob Rees-Mogg, I don't know if you saw in the Parliament today, was
quoting. I heard it 3 times on the radio
yesterday.
John Barnes' rap, yeah. What did I say a couple of weeks ago? I've said it in my book. I've been too late getting it out for different reasons, legal reasons, one thing and another. But I've still got a safety net. Which I'll come to, but I said that politics and football, unfortunately, latter day in particular, they've become inextricably linked, and they all jump on the bandwagon and want a piece of it, you know. But what they've done, the players and the management, and particularly Gareth Southgate, is it's one of them, like just a little pat on the back, because I've been in the position of trying to be a manager or trying to be a coach, a head coach. Everyone was screaming, he ain't high profile enough. Who is he? He ain't got the charisma. He ain't got the personality. He ain't got the balls. He ain't got this. He ain't got that. What stuck in my mind was what one of his ex-managers said. Don't underestimate him. The geezer at Palace, what's it? Alan, what's his name? I should know him really because I was on a couple of things with him with the London Coaches Association. He said, "Don't underestimate him," and I said, "Like we've got to give him a chance."
I know what you mean, yeah.
And he's been, I think he's been phenomenal. You know, in terms of getting us to a semi it's like I said, you still got to beat what's put in front of you. Other managers have failed dismally, like Hodgson.
Well, it's called the impossible job, wasn't it, before?
Yeah. But when you look at the so-called golden generation, I don't even know what that means. I'm still waiting for someone to explain it to me. At the end of the day, we've had a continuum of like good groups of players, and for one reason or another, like I said to you in the last podcast, and our subscribers and followers will know that I've already said we've had a situation where there's always been something that hasn't been quite right. So it's been like the media have got after people. We've had two muggy foreign managers who have let basically the coaching staff do all the work, and they've picked up the Reddies.
4 million. Yeah.
So that was wrong. You've had the off the field activities. You've had the wag malarkey. You've had like the pre-World Cup party, Beckenham Palace showbiz bullshit. Instead of knuckling down, you know, there's always been something that's nosed it. And like I said, we've had two fantastic coaches, aside from the coaches who we should have had and never had, like your Cloughs and your Allisons. Two fantastic coaches who, you know, people got after them, and in terms of maybe their off-field thing or their opinions on certain stuff which shouldn't come into it, like Oddle and Venables, I'm thinking. And this guy is he's proved all the doubters wrong, which inevitably you'll get, because it's like I've always said, I mean, it's a well-worn cliche now, but you know, everyone's a manager at like 4:45 or 20 to 10.
What do you think is? I know it's difficult because you're not in a change room or on the training ground with him, but just I guess seeing how the team sets up, what would you say his biggest attribute is, Gareth Southgate? The sort of man management side, the tactical side. What's his greatest asset? Because I suppose you would say someone like Venables. I know he was a good man manager, but very, very good tactician.
Yeah. Well, I would suggest both. Going on the feedback in media. I mean, they had Chris Powell on last night. I'm not sure he got 1 cap or 2 caps, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, they said about him being an ex-teammate at Crystal Palace. He's on the staff. And he said, like, he's always willing to listen. He said he's got time for everybody. He's always willing to listen. And he said, like, if he's missed something or he misses something and you mention it, he'll take it in. You know, because he's right. What he's doing, what he's saying, there's like a veiled message there. Chris Powell, isn't it? No one knows or sees everything. So you need. It's like he said, Cloughie, you're only as good as the staff around you, and you're only as good as your players. You know, so like the other extreme is like Steve Scott going overboard on the ITV post-match report on News at 10. I think he's vindicated himself in a lot of ways in Gareth Southgate in terms of his history. So it's nice to get.
He seems to get underestimated for his whole career, isn't he? You know, and he's apparently been a captain of every club he played for.
Well, he's just got about his business. He's just got about his business. You can see he's a gentleman. But like this Steve Scott, I just thought to myself, if only you knew. You know what I mean? There was no need to say. He said, you don't have to be aggressive. You don't have to shout and scream. And you don't have to be this. And he's done it with dignity. He's done it with class. Well, yeah. I mean, you should do. If you've got world-class players at your disposal, by and large, it's like getting into their psyche or getting to know them on a personal basis, and then say, look, this is how I'm thinking we're going to go about it. This is how I think we should go about it. And it leads me to the other thing you've mentioned. I think in terms of tactics, I think he's been what I said it's been crying out for decades, which is we need a tactically adaptable manager or head coach and tactically adaptable players. And I think the players have been, regardless of what happened Sunday, I think they've been superb. And if they carry it out to the letter Sunday, they've got a chance.
So let's just quickly go through the Denmark game. What was your overriding thought on the game? Obviously, a great result. Did you think we played well? Did you think Denmark played well? Did you think we deserved it? How did the tactics play out? Because he obviously went back to 4 at the back. What was your sort of assessment of the game?
what happens is I've got this sort of ongoing mental battle with myself, Joe. Like,
Right.
because I'm a bit, I'll get the ump with things because I'm not involved. So you know, in an act of petulance, which belies my supposed maturity in years, I just go fuck it, and I said I'm going to stay out at work, and I went to work, and then I just couldn't resist it. It pulls me in, it pulls me back.
Just when you thought you was out, it pulls you back in. Go on, you like that one?
I did, yeah. It's one of my favourite trilogy of films. Yeah. That's because people don't understand how deep I go. In actual fact, I'm in the middle of doing something for someone at the moment about the very, very quickly going off piste. We're doing it next week. I'm doing something with someone who's is a writer, and quite flattered, really. I don't know if I should be or not. He's asked me to take part in this thing he's doing, the book, and he's asked all these questions and in relation to the stress that managers go through, and how stress affects you as a player, as a person, as a manager, as a coach, and as a consequence of being judged after a one-off perceived failure, which I'm still adamant it wasn't. And if you get me book, and we've just taken delivery of the 7-3 run. A little knowledge is a dangerous thing. If you read the book, you'll see why it is. I think it was 2 lots of success.
This one.
That's the kiddie. Yeah. You could get a signed copy off of me on my website, www.therealsits.co.uk. Email me at louisasitton@tiscali.co.uk. Louisa spelled Loiza. Or you can get an unsigned copy at amazon.co.uk.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so you'll see me things in there. But, like, I'm looking at it, I'm thinking to myself, I'll throw a fit of peak, and then I think, and how shabbily I was treated by the FA as a coach educator. And then in the end, I can't help, I've got to get back for it. So I missed about the first 18 minutes. And then my missus, she says to me, it had been a bit rocky. And then I walked in, and I just thought, like, we just got gradually, slowly but surely, we got a chokehold on the game. And I thought we were never in doubt. I says a few times, we got this on Twitter. I says a few times, keep turning the screw. I don't know if you remember, it was the last podcast or the one before that. I said, we've got to learn to do it better.
Yeah.
We are getting better at it.
Yeah,
and I said we've got to learn to turn the screw, just sustain. Because people say, we had them under a bit of pressure, and even when I was coaching, I said, listen, the key is not having a team under pressure. The key is having them under sustained pressure. There's a massive difference, and we're learning as we go. And I think the players have been fantastic.
It's like an anaconda, isn't it? It's sort of just slowly squeezing the life out of the team.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you relax. Because if it's like you know more than me, but when the pressure goes, the centre half's going to be like, fucking hell, Andy, have a breathe for 5 minutes. And then you don't mind going again because you've had a little interval, didn't you?
Yeah. So look, the safety net, let me quickly talk about the safety net, because this ties in with what you just said, anaconda, right? There's eight, couple of them are quite stylish, actually. There's 8 basic chokes and strangleholds that you learn on a judo mat, or when you do jiu-jitsu, right? So you have to work to apply a couple of them, but if you apply them, right, your opponent will pass out within 20 seconds. And I've had it done to me. I blacked out, knocked out, because I wanted to see if it worked, and I was in a fight anyway on the mat. Sometimes, and that's another martial arts saying that he bought Hassan Hootel, you lose and learn. And then I've done it to a couple of other people. So basically, when you do get that chokehold on, after working so hard for it, what you've got to do, you've got to make sure that you're ruthless, and you tighten it and tighten it and tighten it. I actually thought we could have gotten I could have got a correct score when they had a player sent off, and then like we could have been more direct and got a third goal. But what we done, we elected to go a little bit, well, it's like I said, a little bit Italian, a little bit South American, a little bit Spanish sophisticated piss take, where we was running it in the corner, turned it out. I think there was a passage of play in excess of 50 passes.
Yeah, superb. Yeah, Yeah,
It was.
right at the right time as well. In
Yeah,
extra time,
yeah.
it's killed
But
the game. Yeah.
listen, here's the safety net. Here's the safety net, right? With regards to my book, with regards to what I was about to say in a certain chapter, with regards to the coaching setup in this country, right? It doesn't mean we've cracked it, right? Because here's a thing. There's a saying in jiu-jitsu and in judo. Let me put this to you, and then I don't want people to think, oh, you're off your fucking nut and you're off your trolley and what you're talking about, right? I don't know, maybe it's to keep you turning up at the dojo, but apparently, or this is factual according to the organisation I was tied to. When you first join, obviously you work your way out, so you're like white belt, yellow belt, depending on the club. Sometimes it went white belt, red belt, yellow belt, green belt, blue belt, brown belt, black belt. That was it. Yellow, orange, green, yellow, orange. So white, yellow, orange, green, blue, brown, black. So sort of 7 stages. You know what they said? Yeah, now you got your black belt, you can start learning.
Right. Yeah.
You get that?
Yeah, kind of. It's like passing your driving test, I suppose, or something like that.
Yeah. Now you begin to learn. Now you begin to learn. Yeah. So the point I'm making is, right, we've gone semi-final in Russia, we've gone semi-final, lost it, we've gone semi-final, won it, we're in the final Sunday. Even if we win it, we've got to now look at it and we've got to say, right, okay, and let's look at what we've done really well. Let's look at what we've done right. But it's a coach's job, a manager's job, an organisation's job, which is what I always said, instead of just turning up for a fucking kickabout and getting paid for it, right? What can we do better? What can we improve on? What strengths have we got? We've still got to concentrate on our strengths, and we've got to keep polishing our strengths. But what weaknesses have we got? We've now got to work on our weaknesses, right? And we've got to make them better, and we've got to improve on them. And I still think there's 1 or 2 things there to be ironed out.
Yeah, and I guess what the most, again, it'd be interesting to get your view on it. But for me anyway, I'd imagine what the most useful thing to learn for Southgate and the coaches and even the players is knowing what it takes to win, knowing what it takes to get to a final with a major tournament, which you've never done since '66. I presume that because before, who knew how to do it? We failed at every juncture. So there's no kind of blueprint. And I understand that, you can't just follow the blueprint and not improve. But like you say, you need something that, well, if we get a really good team spirit, we've got a very good chance of getting to a final or whatever, Whereas before, it was all just no one sort of knew, it seemed, because there was no sort of hard and fast rule. Whereas, the French have won the World Cup, the Italians have won major tournaments, the Germans. So they sort of know, well, we know we haven't quite got it to how we need to get it.
Yeah.
Because we've done it before, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I mean, it's ironic, the media, when they go after people, and it's ironic, like they think they're like the second coming, and they all think they're an authority on football, and they think because they've heard a few coaches say recycle the ball or turnover, which are both rugby expressions. I think it's complete and utter fucking claptrap and bullshit, and I can't have it. I can't stand it. But let them get on with it, whether it's on the radio or the paper. I think it's ironic that it was written the other day that it's the first Euro semi-final that we've reached.
It's 96 we've got there, didn't we?
Yeah, and then I think you'll find, although I might be wrong on this occasion, I think you'll find in '68 we got knocked out in the semi-finals as world champions. We got beat by Scotland in '67. So they what they're like, fantastic humour. They said that makes us world champions. Then we played the Euros in '68 and got knocked out in the semi-finals by Yugoslavia. I'm not sure if I'm right. I'm working from memory. Like I said, it's not my job. We don't get paid for it. I'm working from memory off the top of my nut. But I think it's stuck in there for a reason. I don't know. Yeah. So I found it heavily ironic reading one article. But I can only say what I would do, Joe. So it's like, it goes back to what I said, right? You don't only play football, or you don't play football, you feel it, right? So you don't just play football, you feel it. I've always felt that way since I was a kid. It's where everyone starts. It's the beginning of every story, right? So then I said to you, if you fast forward now to latter day, right, I think everybody, barring maybe a few African nations, like I've said to you, I think everybody is on par right across the world. Or your top South American nations, like Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, all these type of guys.
Yeah.
Definitely all of Europe. They will be on a very much an even kill with regards to the sports science side of it. So he'll have his researchers, etc. They'll have the stats on who's covered what amount of ground, who's at a red zone, who's done this, which never existed before. What they've done to recharge with regards to getting the toxins out of their body. I even went on Twitter the other day. I said this is what should be happening now, what will be happening now to get the toxins out of their body. But then, like the coach and the managerial staff, they'll turn their attention immediately to Italy while they've got other staff looking after the players, right? But if I'm him, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's done it. You should keep a diary. I was told by a far more experienced manager, me and Chris Turner, and in the end, it turned out it was priceless. It turned out to be priceless information. It turned out to be a priceless suggestion or an idea. He said, keep, because you never know what can happen with regards to conversations, particularly with directors. So always keep a diary. So what I've done is I took it to the next extreme, or like I'm supposedly a person of extremes. I kept a diary on every player, and I kept a diary on all my interactions with the day's work, the office staff, my interactions with directors, and I kept a diary on everything we did in training. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's done that. So he's got a point of reference to go back to for Qatar next year.
And I guess with that, you can that's where you can go back and analyze because I suppose the conversations you had or the coaching conversations you had before a game. If you lost, right, well, then let's have a look at the conversations we had and why did we not identify a threat or whatever.
And
so
what we
constantly
did in training.
learning.
Yeah, what we did in training. See,
it's scientific, isn't it? I mean, that's what you do when you do an experiment or something. You know what I mean? It's very evidential. It's not just trying to wing it.
I think more so now. I think years ago they winged it.
Yeah.
I honestly believe years ago they winged it. It was a different era.
Can I just ask a question on that, actually? Because it was obviously I can ask a question because that's what I'm here for. But the interview with Southgate after the game, I thought there was for me anyway, an interesting little excerpt. And I think it was a question from that Gabriel fella about why did he make subs so late? Denmark made subs earlier, but was that because we had fresh legs in the extra time? And could he have tried to win it before extra time? And what he said was, and I'd be interested to get your thoughts on it as to whether or not you've done this in management, is he said, we always have a conversation with players and I trust them to make the breakthrough themselves, to make the right decisions and to get the result themselves. Did you know? I don't know if you noticed that, but he was sort of, we always say, we trust you to know how to find a way to win, as opposed to the manager thinking, I need to win the game. He seems to be thinking, these players win the game, not me. They will find a way.
Yeah,
I found that interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah. I could see that. I would be somewhere in the middle. I think there are managers, I won't need to name them.
Yeah.
Where they've gone, you could tell by the way they carry themselves in the media, the way they're even now acting as a pundit. One's got a job abroad. He got unveiled the other day. He would probably leave you in no doubt as to who he thinks won the game or is trying to win the game. I mean, I've heard this before. They've done the thing with Eddie Howe, and he was doing a session. There was no real coaching going on. He was just saying to players, find a way. I would be somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
We've got to try and find a way to win the game.
Yeah.
Not you've got to try and find a way to win the game. And I'm not going to try and find a way to win the game. We're going to try and find a way to win the game.
Yeah. It could be me. It could be you.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's there to tweak it, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's there to tweak it. And I think like the reason I think he left it not left it too late. He left it so late. I think like normally the reasons are, he doesn't want to disturb it. That's the first thing, because we had a stranglehold on the game. And like I kept saying on Twitter, keep turning the screw, turn the screw. We got this. And I never felt for at least, let's say 75, let's say that all of the last part of the first half, all the second half and extra time, I was never in any doubt that we would do anything other than win, right? And then, so it probably didn't want to disturb it. And then the second thing would be it would leave it as late as possible in terms of wanting to run the clock down.
And because they were dead on their feet, weren't they, in the extra time?
Yeah, especially when they had the player sent off. We had like I said, we had a couple of keep balls, and there was one passage where it's 50 passes. So there's literally no response. You know, it was ours to give away and ours to lose, and we didn't. I thought we were very, very, very professional, borderline cynical, where we absolutely killed them off.
Who was your standout performer?
It was a few. I thought they were, I mean, like I said, I didn't see the first 18 minutes, so I can't comment on that. What I saw from the minute I walked in, I thought the two centre backs were exemplary. I thought they were absolutely outstanding. I thought they were magnificent. That's me as an ex-centre back, primarily ex-centre back. Then again, I looked at him. I played right back as well for a couple of clubs. I thought Walker again. He's had a renaissance. People, and I'm one of them. I thought to myself, I went along with Roy Keane way back when, a couple of months ago. He's 31 now, and he's still making the same mistakes. And I think he never put a foot wrong, Kyle Walker. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. Who else?
Well, obviously Sterling. I thought that's the best performance in England.
I thought Sterling was immense. Again, I think he's been England's player of the tournament. Yeah. He's also a leader. He's also a leader. He takes responsibility. I can't really see from the TV whether he has too much to say, but just sometimes you can lead by deed.
Yeah. I think Kane's a bit like that, isn't he?
Yeah, although I see when the goal went in, it was some free kick. Even with all them lumps, I said, look at all them lumps in the wall. Kane's 6'3", whatever he is. It was 4 lumps in the wall, and they jumped. And now the geezer's got it up and down in such a short thing. Although I thought his starting position was diabolical, Pickford, he got it up and down in such a short sort of space to get it in the back of the net, and it wasn't particularly in the corner. I still thought it was a magnificent free kick. But you see, Kane just calmed down, use your nut.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
So that was good. I thought Calvin Phillips again was absolutely outstanding, absolutely immense. I did say when I first walked in, they was getting the better of the game. I said Phillips and Rice definitely know they're in a game. That's for sure.
Yeah, they did get on top. They seem to be overrunning them a little bit for 15, 20 minutes. Yeah. But as you say, come back into it. But so we went before the back in that game. So Italy then, what do you expect? What do you expect him to do in that game in terms of formation? Do you expect him to keep the same formation or go back to a 5 at the back?
Someone asked me on Twitter.
Germany,
Someone asked me on Twitter, Joe, and I said, and maybe I'm a bit slow with it on the uptake. I don't know. Or maybe I've been naive. Maybe I'm just sort of generous of thought and deed. But I've been a bit selfish today. And I said, you've got to wait for Joe to ask me on the podcast to plug the podcast.
Very good marketing, John.
I could only say what I would do, and it might tie in with what he will do. Yeah, I think I've maintained, and I still maintain, despite people's comments on Germany and Denmark, I still don't think we're quite good enough to play against top quality opposition, a flat back 4, and get away with it. I think he will play. I think if he doesn't, it will be borderline professional suicide. I think he'll go with a back 5, and I honestly believe, and it probably ties in with the way I would go. I think he would set up the same formation, and I think the same side that played against Germany, that started against Germany. Yeah. So Pickford, and then you'll have it'd be 5. Sort of a 5-2-3 that will evolve into 3-4-3 going forward. Yeah. So it'll be Pickford, it'll be Shaw pushed in on the left. I think Trippier pushed in on the right. I think it'll be Walker, Stones and Maguire, which I think has proven to be a tough, resilient defensive line with a bit of everything. Yeah. Aerial power, pace, guile, a bit of craftiness. Yeah. And experience and good reading of the game. So that, like, double thumbs up for that little mob there. I think he'll go, and he should go by way of reward with Calvin Phillips, definitely, and maybe Rice, probably Rice. He's had a good steady tournament without pulling up any trees. I still maintain he can do more and be more of a launch pad for England attacks. I still think he should get his head up and look forward as a first priority. I still think he plays too many balls sideways and backwards, but that's just my personal little, I don't know whether it's like little idiosyncrasies where I'm concerned, and the players sort of I played with, their first thought was always to pass and drive forward. But he might have been told to do that. I don't know. When I've had West Ham supporters coming back at me saying, well, you know, he does this for West Ham. Well, surely that's the point I'm making. If he drives forward for West Ham, if he passes forward for West Ham, if he hits 40-yard passes for West Ham, if he looks to make numbers up in the box and let shots go on the edge of the box for West Ham, then surely that's why he got picked for England. So if that's why he got picked for England, why ain't he doing it for England? That's all I'm saying, right?
You know, it reminds me of, do you remember when Scott Parker was at Charlton and he did exactly that? He was a box-to-box midfielder, scored goals, you know, always passing forward. Chelsea signed him. They tried to turn him into Makelele. Fucked his career.
Yeah, he did. He didn't rise again until he had an unbelievable season. I thought he should have gone to South Africa when he had an unbelievable season for West Ham. And that was the thing in my nut about him, Capello. He took Rob Green, who was like fucking shell-shocked. It's like the Battle of the Somme. So like shells coming in. Isn't it? Like, no, crosses, shots, fucking parries, seconds, diving at people's feet, tipping it over the bar, coming out. You know what I mean? He takes it to South Africa and then he spills the one against America, against the USA. Do you know what I mean? Should never have done it. No. And he went against what he said. I'm only going to take players fit and on form. And he took Ledley King, who could play once in every 10 days and train once a fortnight. What's that about in a fucking 4-week tournament? Anyway, he's got 20 million. I'm driving a cab. And then going back to the England side, I'm looking at the front. I'll go again. I would go with Saka, Kane, and Sterling, and that's the starting 11 that started.
So no Mount
against Germany. No, you ain't done enough. You ain't done enough. Nowhere near enough. See, listen, like I said, Capello got 20 million off the FA. I'm driving a cab. Frank Lampard saying he must be in this side on BBC. He must. Well, tell me why. Qualify it. Because he ain't done enough. And unfortunately, I'm talking as an ex-Chelsea boy, youth and young man of 6 years, I think he's a cracking player. And he seems to me to be a thoroughly decent competitor and human being. I like the bit of verbal he was getting at with the geezer the other night. He was having a bit of verbal and a bit of a ding-dong with one of them. I thought, go on, son, give it to him. Give it back to him. You know what I mean? Because they cut us off and whatever, so don't have it. And he weren't. But you've got to offer more than a bit of pressing and the odd dead ball delivery. If it's down to dead ball deliveries, there's only one governor in the Premier League who's an Englishman. That's Will Prowse. But he never even made the trip. So that cancels that one out. So I'm just looking at it. I'm thinking to myself, no, you ain't done enough. And the reasons being, in his defence, 100%, circumstances beyond his control with the COVID, and he come into contact with Billy Gilmore and he was ostracised outside of the group. Isolated is a better word, outside of the group. I've been ostracised. He was just isolated.
Yes. I was going to ask you actually on so obviously that last time we played that formation, and obviously Mount was isolated, didn't play against Germany. We beat Germany 2-0, obviously. Went to back 4, drew 1-1 in 90 minutes with Denmark, beat him in extra time. Do you, in terms of I just want to get an appraisal from you really as to how good were the opposition? Because you've said before, to coin a phrase, you only beat what's in front of you. But is Germany a better side than Denmark? Do you think is Denmark a better side? No.
Yeah,
do you think Denmark beat Germany?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
But Italy's a step up again.
Yeah, I mean everything. Everything, Joe. This is part of the management where he's been superb.
Yeah.
Everything is 50-50.
Yeah,
It's like tournament football. It's like every game is a semi-final.
Yeah.
You understand? Every game's a semi-final because if you don't start well, there's a good chance you won't go to the last 16. If you don't win the last 16, you're not going to the last 8. So it's just like a one-off knockout, sudden death. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and we've managed that really, really well.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think so. In answer to that question, you can't say it's whoever's on the day. But going on their performance, and one of the chaps on Twitter said, "Sits, look out for Denmark. They're dark horses. Don't worry about that." And you've got to doff your cap and acknowledge that. They've done really absolutely magnificent, really superb, and they took us all the way.
So, no, I agree. Yeah, and I was going to say, so you're in the dressing room before the final. What do you say? How do we get at Italy? Because they're a ultra cynical side. I mean, I don't know if you saw the shenanigans of Cellini, sort of fake sort of punching Jordi Alba and giving him the bear hug with his grin all smashed across his face and all that.
Yeah, reverse psychology, wasn't
it? Yeah. How do we deal with them? How do we beat them?
What I've normally found is if someone's in the past thinks it can get to you, they'll say something or do something that probably normally annoys them. So if they whatever they did to me, I would just if he tapped me on the arm, I'd tap him on the arm back.
Yeah.
If he got me in a bear hug, I'd take the piss out of his bald head. You know what I mean? And then get him in a bear rug, and then go, and then the Italians give it all that, don't they? Because my son-in-law's Italian.
Right.
One of my son-in-laws, I'd give it all that. You know what I mean? As in like Bambino, you little fucker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, son. You know what I mean? Just give it one of them. All right, son. I've got your number. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the old grip on the shoulder.
Yeah. Piccolino, you're only a little boy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So whatever they do, like say if they coat you off, if they swear at your mum. I mean, I had it even Sunday football with a Greek league, you know what I mean? But they didn't know I could understand Greek, you know what I mean? If they're swearing at you calling you out about your appearance or swearing at your mum or your sister or your wife, you say it back and they fucking crumble. They go berserk. You know what I mean? So that's the first thing, the psychology side of the thing.
Yeah.
Or the other thing is keep calm and carry on, like we did in the Second World War. The old saying from the Second World War, stiff upper lip, British stiff upper lip. Because there's a school of thought that says if they're resorting to those type of tactics, then they're obviously very, very afraid. Very, very afraid.
Interesting.
Right? And listen, what I'm going to say to you, Joe, when you're playing, right, I'm gonna hold my hands up here and I'm going to 100% tell you it's the truth and on art. May God strike me dead. I'm going to do a long run in a minute. Yeah. I've got to do a delivery to Chelmsford. May I slump over the fucking wheel of my cab. I was not scared of anybody. And as a consequence, right, I kept quiet. Apart from bossing my teammates, I never got involved in name calling. I never got involved in verbal. I never got involved in insults. I never got involved in fucking pulling hair and pinching people in the back and all that bollocks and running me studs down their calf while we were standing there. Waste of time, waste of energy. And not only that, it was me personally, I think it's slight inferiority complex. So I never did it. So there's a school of thought.
Did people do it to you?
Yeah. I mean,
and you didn't retaliate?
Well, if they give you verbal, I didn't. I even had teammates at Chelsea. They couldn't get the better of me as a 17-year-old, first team centre forwards in practice matches, and I should have read the script. You know what I mean? And I got thrown under the bus as a 19-year-old, but there were no goals in the club after Steve Finiston left the football club. There were no goals in the club. So if they can't beat the youth team in a practice match and the youth team are beating the first team 2-0 or 1-0, there's got to be a fucking problem in there. But they do all the thing back into your stamp on your toes. If someone stamped on my, I fucking hated that. If they walk back very quickly as if they're what they call threaten the back. Or one run for you, one run for the defender, one run for you, right? So but what they do, they walk back quick and they bump, but they'd stamp down. And I just used to give it 20 minutes and iron them out.
And when you say iron them out, just
oh, St. John's. Hopefully, preferably St. John's.
What's St. John's mean?
St. John's ambulance. Get them on.
But from in a tackle. Or
yeah,
in a tackle,
yeah. I mean,
just go late. Just.
I sound like a fucking oaf, like an idiot, like a braggart.
I'm interested.
You know what I mean? I'm just telling you what went on, what goes on. I mean, he tickled me the other night, and then they all caved in on me. Fucking everyone, the Irish, they said, I thought you liked Roy Keane. I said, I do, I love him, but it don't mean I can't fucking question him. I mean, who are you to say, well, England's midfield, he said, a lot of energy, I'm paraphrasing slightly, very slightly. England's midfield, a lot of energy, but not technically not that great. Right? Do me a favour. And the Man United supporter started thinking, and I said, well, go on then, give me the thing, because I'm telling you, you're talking about one of the biggest thugs in modern day football ever to take a football field. I'm talking an out and out fucking a ruthless enforcer, but a borderline thug. If he'd done it on the street, he'd get nicked, tackling fucking Vieira up around the chest and all that carry on. Anyone can do that. Right? But I'll tell you what he was a phenomenal leader and a phenomenal athlete who covered every blade of grass, and he was an enforcer when it was allowed. You've got to ask yourself the question, right? If he was playing today, you got to ask yourself this question: would he have 50% of his game taken away? Does that make sense?
Souness, I suppose.
The same as Souness, another thug, a coward. Because he always said to me, Ray Wilkins, we was going up the tunnel to Liverpool, he said to me, Eamon Bannon and Mickey Nutt, if you get a 50-50, when sits, if you get a 50-50 with Graham Souness, he said, fucking watch yourself. He said, because he'd go over the top and he could end your career. Right? An out and out fucking scumbag. But have a straightener with him on the street, I've got too much pedigree. There'd be A&E within minutes. You understand? But where people saying to me, well, what you're talking about is one of Man United's greatest ever players. I said, well, hold on. Could he cross the ball like Beckham? No. Could he dribble like Giggs? No. Could he pass and move and dictate the tempo of the game like Scholes? No. Zidane and all the others, they all talk about Scholes. They don't talk about Kane, do they?
No.
And I said, listen, I would be honoured to call him a friend. I would be privileged to have had him as a teammate, right? But if he'd had all this about digging your teammates and getting hold of them in the fucking dressing room, I'd have handed him his own head. Right? But all this about thing, Joe, sometimes just hold your hands up and give a bit of credit where it's due. Don't coat people off for not being technically adept, right? And they've got plenty of energy when basically that's what your game was based on.
Yeah.
Energy, tempo, setting the tempo for the game, getting your foot in, winning it, then giving it to a good player. And then someone said, well, he scored some vital goals. I said, well, give me his goal scoring record. Someone come on with his whole career, right? And I looked at it very quickly like that. And I said, 1 in 10. Right? You're talking to me about this superb player who set the tempo and scored vital goals. He scored 1 goal every 10 games. Is that prolific? Don't think so. Anyway, it just got me a bit spunked up because I'm not having. He's very any chance he gets to fucking put a downer on the English or coat the English, he does it. So I'm sticking up. So I'm thinking to myself, listen, if you want to let sleeping dogs lie, right? With regards to what went on under Oliver Cromwell, who I thought was an horrible cunt anyway, I agree with you. But let's let sleeping dogs lie. But don't fucking take every little fucking opportunity to have a little fucking pin in everyone's enjoyment and say England's midfield had plenty of energy, but not technically great. Don't make me fucking laugh.
Yeah. He's a bit of a caricature of himself, isn't he? He can't seem to relax and just be himself. He's always got to try and either wind people up.
Yeah, fucking lighten up. Just lighten up and have a thing and just say, you know what got to me? It really fucking got to me. I'm thinking about it now, right? Ian Wright and Ashley Cole.
Yeah. The passion, the love for the country. Yeah. Deep down.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, we mentioned it last week, or the last podcast, sorry. You know, the Italians are very passionate about their country, and they let everyone know. That they're passionate. And
I've put a bit in my book, and I said I might make enemies. What I'm going to do, I'm going to preempt it now. I said for too long we've kowtowed, and we've been treated, and we've allowed ourselves to be treated as second-class citizens, being talked down to right across the world, but particularly in Europe, right, because of the former British Empire and Commonwealth.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we're the Millwall of international football.
I said in the book, I said, listen, not for 1 minute do I condone or agree with it. I said, I'll leave that assumption to the monarchy backed by an invading army. Do you understand what I'm saying? Where I'm coming from? But so don't blame me for don't talk down to me about my history and my country's history and pull fucking statues down and talk about the slave trade and all this and the British Empire and how we fucking pillaged everybody's resources. I weren't there.
No.
And I never made any fucking profit out of it.
No.
And if you want to go to that extreme, let's have it right. If England, without former colonies, we wouldn't be able to field a six-a-side team.
Yeah, for sure.
You get me?
Yeah.
But listen, this is a key issue because we're no different from every other European imperialist European nation. You understand? Particularly the likes of France. Maybe the Portuguese and the Spanish who have been forgiven for wiping out 3 civilizations across the whole fucking continent of South America, right? Maybe they're a bit different, right? They haven't really got like a Turkish immigrant like the Germans at the forefront of their playing structure like they did in bygone years, etc. You know, but we're no different to the French or the Belgians. They wouldn't be able to field a six-a-side team.
No, there's a very interesting quote for me, and I want to relay it to you. It was, I mean, obviously from a disgusting human being, but Hermann Goering, just at the Nuremberg trials in his cell, when there was an American GI that was standing guard for him, I think ended up passing him a cyanide pill, to which he committed suicide to cheat the hangman's noose. But he wrote his memoirs, or he sort of spoke about, you know, the chats they had, and what Hermann Goering was doing a comparison between a German and an Englishman. And there's a difference, and this is interesting coming from after the horrors of the Holocaust and all that. But he said the difference between a German and an Englishman is a German has a hard hand but a soft heart, and an Englishman has a soft hand and a hard heart. Which it's that sort of. I found that an interesting comment because, you know, the English are, you know, got an outside perception, and we've got the hooliganism stuff, but ultimately it's that kind of Gareth Southgate. You know, Gareth Southgate is probably the perfect example of that. Outwardly, gentleman, very polite, but when it comes to it, we'll fight to the death. And, you know, fight for glory there, and you've got it in your T-shirt, John. You know, you'd fight for death. You're a gentleman. I'm a gentleman. You know, it's ingrained in us in a society to be nice and polite to people. But we'll fight them on the landing grounds. We'll fight them on the beaches. We'll never surrender, will we?
That's right.
And I'm not sure the Italians might realise that on Sunday.
Well, I think it'll all boil down to tactics, and I'll tell you what the Italians are trying to do. We're going back to the 3/3 again, not that way, but that way. And what they'll try and do, they'll try and get a 3v2 in the area, in the region, in the vicinity of Rice and Phillips, if he fields those two together. Me personally, I would even have the subs in here, right? If you're gonna bring Saka off, you change him for more pace and trickery, and you bring on Sancho or Foden. If you bring off Sterling, you replace him with more pace and trickery, with either Sancho or Sterling. Beg your pardon, Sancho or Foden. So my subs would possibly be Sancho for Saka, and it would be Foden for Sterling. And I would reinforce it if we get in front with Henderson. I might even be tempted to just go in there and stick 3 in there. And bring Henderson on for a forward or one of the forward players if we think, because it could go. I think it could go either way, and my heart tells me or wants England by the odd goal, 1-0 or 2-1, and my professional head is telling me Italy 2-0. I think it could be one or two extremes.
What do you think? Because I watched Bonucci, the other centre half, against Spain, and he was almost playing the right back position a lot. He was getting pulled over into the right channel. He actually played quite well, but I didn't think Spain offered much going forward. But it seems to me, and I would like to get your thoughts as an ex-manager, dragging, because it happened with Vestergaard, the Danish player, when, you know, shitting himself when Sterling or Saka was running up against him, and it made him look cumbersome and awkward when he's actually a decent player. I wonder whether we should drag, and I was thinking of it watching the game, drag Chiellini and Bonucci into the deep waters and drown them into those channels, and get the likes of Saka and Sterling absolutely roasted and putting them on toast early doors, because they're, to me, I don't know about you, they seem to be the team. They set the tone for the team. Chiellini's bossing it. The team gets confident. If all of a sudden he's getting completely and utterly roasted absolutely roasted and making
Yeah.
mistakes, all of
Yeah.
a sudden the team thinks, fucking hell.
Well, listen, there's two ways, and you could give them both a try, right? There's two ways. What you do, you ask your wing backs to rescind ever so slightly, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe call their fullbacks onto them a little bit. So that will create the space, because you've got to create the space first in the channels. And you could then have Saka and Sterling working inside to out and dragging the centre backs into the channels, where I happen to believe, but they've got that about them. They won't get beat fairly and squarely. What you've got to do, you've got to get them in open ground, open grass, and then you've got to be able to just nudge the ball into the open ground, open grass, and explode. So you're going to need space. You're going to need space to the side and space in behind. Because I'll tell you now, I'll predict it now. What they'll do the body check, or they'll do the push or the shove, and they give it that, and they'll get away with the first two before they get booked. Because they're past masters at it. They're the fucking governors. I mean, there's someone, I'm listening to pundits on radio yesterday. Not only was I disappointed on one of the shows, they were laughing, saying, we're here celebrating, we've got champagne. He's meant to be a pal of mine, right? And he's going on about people hanging off of buses and all that. He never mentioned the poor bastard with the brand new white electric cab who had it fucking written off by this, college going scum or whatever, feral scum jumping up and down on it. Right? But the other thing they said about set pieces being a key. Right? I've never heard anything more ridiculous in all my life. I mean, I might be proved wrong. Set pieces against Italy, fucking do me a favour. They've been defending set pieces since they were fucking under 8. You understand?
Their baby grows there.
So this is why I'm leaving Jack out of the equation, because the only reason to bring Jack on, right? Listen, the only reason you bring on a dribbler, right, is to run the clock down. If you've gone a man down, right, and there's two ways of creating an overload: is passing the movement or dribbling. So you go past one or two players immediately. If you've taken one or two outfield players out of the game, you've then got the proverbial overload, and then you've got to use it and share the ball on quickly, right? And then the last reason would be to bring Jack Grealish on would be to get fouled and get set pieces. But I think that's eliminated by the fact that so we're down to 2, which is why I've left Jack out of the equation, right? And he's one of my favourites, you know what I mean? Like everybody else. I love it when he gets on the ball. But because he makes things happen and he puts a spring in Harry's step. But what I'm saying is I've left him out of the equation because if you was going to put if you was going to hold up a prime example on culture and do it, on film and do it by statistics, I would say for decades now, the Italians have been the governors at defending set pieces. So I don't see the sense in playing for set pieces. No. If we get one and we nick a goal from it, lovely. I'll end up nutting the chandelier as same as everybody else. Jumping up and nutting the chandelier like my dad did when Charlie Gill scored against Liverpool in 71. You know what I mean? When we was in the front room and Arsenal clinched the double. He jumped up and hit his nut on the chandelier, the old man. But that's why I've even given you the subs and the shape. But the other school of thought, very quickly, is the likes of Saka and Sterling. What they would do, they would start high and wide, and then they would come in off the line, right, to create space for the wing backs, right?
Which we need to do if we're playing 5 at the back,
and a lot of people have been doing it since Conte did it with Chelsea. A lot of people have been doing it. Frank tried it. But when I see him, I said I was very disappointed because it was the only pattern of play they had. So for me, that was very disappointing. It showed a distinct lack of ideas.
Quick question. Sorry, go on.
No,
did you want to finish that? No. Kane. So a couple of episodes ago, you were talking about him going on the toes. I think it was a Germany to slow centre halves, and we were talking about how we can highlight their frailties, shall we say? And you were saying Kane should step on their toes and mark them, create the space. Yeah. Should he be doing the same thing against Chiellini and Bonucci? And before you answer, bearing in mind the ball he put through to Saka against Denmark when he dropped deep, and it was a fantastic pass, like knife through butter.
Yeah. It's not that's. I would have coached that at about under 14, under 15 level. What it is, that's what you call like with forwards, right? So it ties in with what I'm saying, because the other thing I've said about the wing backs rescinding, which I don't think they will do, and isolating the players high and wide like Saka and Sterling, to bring Bonucci and Cellini, however you say it, bring them out into the channels, right?
Yeah.
Now, the other school of thought is you get them in off the line to clear the space for the wing backs to go high and wide, and to play much closer with Harry. So they're very free, very close like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Now, you've got crossover runs.
Yeah.
Forwards. Right. So 2 out of the 3 could do that.
Yeah.
Or the middle one could come short, and then the other 2 could cross over like that. In the case of Harry, for the other one, that was a split run. Right. So he starts there. Harry starts there, right? And then it's a very basic split run whereby Harry comes deep to get the ball. He's got on the half turn, right? And then he slotted that one between the centre half and the full back, or the midfield player and the full back for who was it? Saka, who got onto it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And he done the cutback for, they're going about the own goal and all that, but Sterling would have polished it off anyway.
Yeah,
he would have put that in the back.
Nearly went over, actually.
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it ends up in the back of the net. And the geezer, if he hadn't got it, Sterling would have tapped it in anyway, right? So it's either a crossover run or a split run, right? And then the other couple, when the centre forward's isolated, is he comes short and he makes like an elongated, bends his run into the channel when the fullback's committed short. So there's loads of space in the corner. That's normally at the start of a game to push the opposition back. Right. And then the other one, I'll tell you, he was brilliant at it, right? When he was at Chelsea he was only a kid before he got sold to Brighton, was Teddy Maybank. And he designed his own run, right? And he was very good at it. Ian Wright and Gary Lineker, where they would come short to show. And then you go in, you just sort of like a centre half, a lot of them like most of them like not switched on. And then as you're going in, go tight, they would just like spin quickly, right? So what would happen is you'd follow him in, and then what they'd spin in, because like you've got a flat back four and there's loads of grass in behind, and then someone like Gascoigne would dink it in behind, or Hoddle would dink it in behind for someone like Ian Wright or Gary Lineker, right? Well, here's the thing, what he used to do. So what they do, the run is short and then spin like that. Right? Can you see that on camera?
Yeah.
Teddy Maybank, before he went to Brighton, he was brilliant at it for Chelsea under Eddie Mack. He comes short, right? And he chopped a load off, right? He'd come short and he'd just go boom. And he'd spin inside himself. And then all of a sudden, the centre-back is caught flat. And it's either he's got to give a free kick away as the last man and maybe take a booking, or Teddy would come and just spin into the grass beyond and be gone.
Yeah. So they're not looking for the ball. It's a complete dummy run.
Well, no, they're looking for the ball, but
over the top.
Over the top. When there's like you've got like a fullbacks are committed in, and they're caught square. So my point being, I think it's absolutely fantastic prime example with the pace and trickery we've got with Saka in particular, Sterling in particular, Foden if he gets on, Jordan Sancho if he gets on. I think that those are the type of runs that we should be looking to make against Chiellini and Bonucci.
All right. Well, let's. I know you've kind of given your heart and your head prediction, but maybe you can pick a hybrid of that. What happens in the final, John? Do we win it?
Well, it's like I said, my heart wants England to win it. I mean, I'm conflicted because I predicted Italy a week before a ball was kicked on 3 different podcasts now, 2 different podcasts.
I mean, did they impress you? Did they really impress you against Spain?
It's a cultural, they did. See, look, this goes back to what I was saying. If I've got the safety net in my book, it's a cultural thing, Joe. They've only reached one Euros final, right? But that's one more than we have. Yeah. But then if you look at the records of everybody else since '66, right, and you look at the amount of World Cup finals and semi-finals they've reached, and the French and the Spanish in particular, and the Germans in particular, we're only just starting to make some sort of headway. So everybody like in the throes of self-gratification over beating Denmark in the semi-final, I don't buy it. You understand? Because I've said, and I still maintain, that it's a cultural thing, and it's a culture that needs to be built in layers. You understand? And it all goes back to the coaching. Now, all of a sudden, I mean, Southgate, he's got a lot of people out of jail. Right? So when he goes in to renegotiate, right, or he sends an agent in to renegotiate, his things should go fucking ballistic. Let's not forget, you had an absolute shambles of an organisation, and dare I say it, they might still be the case, right? Because they running around trying to satisfy everyone politically with X amount of women coaches, X amount of BAME coaches and all that. Just coaches, produce coaches. It doesn't matter whether they're male, female, black, white, Asian. What's that about, right? But anyway, before that, let's not forget that they didn't know if they was having a shit shave or haircut. Allardyce come in, he had one game and then got caught by whoever, the fake sheikh, whoever the fuck, you know what I mean? Talking about how the third party ownership and how to circumnavigate regulation. And I was gutted because like he was like, for me, having met him, come up against him, he took me place at Millwall, come up against him as a manager when he was at Blackpool, and then the infamous fucking rant with me going into one at half time. We was 1-0 down at home to Blackpool. Very, very pragmatic manager. Went from 4-3-3. They nicked a goal. No, beg your pardon. No, he wasn't that imaginative. They was 4-4-2. They nicked a goal, and then he went immediately to 4-5-1. And we lost 1-0 under Blackpool. I thought he was a thing for the normal English / British working class, come through the ranks, knew the ropes, old school type manager. So I thought he was a good representative of a similar sort of ilk to myself. You understand? So I was happy for him to get the job, and he ended up using the job for one game. So the point being, Southgate comes in and picks up the slack. Right? I said, then go back through my Twitter, although I've made a couple of 100,000 tweets since I've been on Twitter. Go back through, I said, give him a chance, right? Give him a chance. And I said, he carries himself and conducts himself impeccably. Give him a chance, right? And I think he's got the point I'm making. He got a lot of people out of jail, including the organisation he works for. And I think that should never be underestimated. So when he goes in to renegotiate, right, he should bear in mind the money they've thrown at the likes of Ericsson, the money they've thrown at the compensation for Allardyce by mutual consent, the money they threw at Capello, who his agent is his son. And then he threatened to walk before a major championship if he didn't get a new contract. Then he gets a payoff using the racial row between row between Terry and Ferdinand as an excuse. You didn't consult me on stripping him the captaincy. I'm off. Sort me out. I mean, he's picked up the slack. Southgate. He's been amazing.
Yeah, and you can probably put your house on. There's no dirt there. He's never going to get done by the fake sheikh.
That's right. That's what I mean by an impeccable character.
Yeah.
He's a gentleman.
Yeah.
It's like I said to you. It's like it's people in football. They wouldn't look out of place in the SAS.
Yeah, he said that. Yeah.
And it's like he said.
Killers.
Winston Churchill. We met the head of the SAS, and he said something along the lines of the nicest gentleman ever to slit a throat. Something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing, but I've got books. I've got loads of books over there in my room in the man cave. You know what I mean? Like all these sayings attributed to Churchill, and that's one of them. So I've got the gist of it, and the listeners get the gist of it. You know? He's been
cold-hearted killer, but with a bit of gentleman.
Yeah. It's like I said to you. I learned too late. The best assassins are the ones the ones who smile. They do it with a smile. So I don't mean that disparagingly. The point I'm making is I think he's perfectly capable of being ruthless.
Yeah. Well, if it's worth anything, I think we're going to win it. But it's going to be very tight. Could even be penalties.
Yeah.
But we won't smash them.
That's why I said the odd goal, 1-0 or 2-1. That's me art. And there'll be a big crowd of us watching the game.
Good.
Around my daughters. We'll be barbecued up and... the hour will be flowing, but that's where we draw the line. We don't go around jumping on people's cars and
smashing them up. No.
Yeah, I mean, they're fucking brain dead, aren't they? They're brain dead.
Okay, John. So, can I get a? What am I going to get out of you? Are we going to win it?
I'm not. Well, I'm conflicted. It's what I said to you. That's the best you're going to get out of me. You're going to get England by the odd goal, 1-0 or 2-1.
Yeah.
Whatever happens, we need to score first. I'm telling you now, if the Italians score first, I think it'll end up 2-0. Because I think they'll pull every stroke in the book.
Yeah.
They're like the ultimate cultured professionals. I'm talking like dark arts, slowing the game down, picking it up again, slowing it down again, picking it up again, doing a Fosbury flop, getting someone booked, time wasting. And then as we start to lose our shape and get anxious, and maybe a bit of discipline, which we mustn't, we've got to take it right to the end. And we say, if we're going to go down, we go down in this manner, we go down on our terms. If we don't, they'll go and get a second, which is why I said possibly Italy 2-0.
Yeah, it seems to be like we need
even
to go.
one goal. Listen, one goal for Italy won't be enough, right? But I would prefer us to score first.
Yeah, and I know you missed the beginning of the game against Denmark, but and weren't much longer than 5 minutes. But we come out the traps like Liverpool come out the traps. You know, when they come out the traps and closing down everywhere, ultra high intensity. That's actually how we started the game, but then it kind of settled down. But it sounds to me like we've got to blitz Italy. We've got to make them fucking not know what's hit them.
Well, yeah, you could do that as long as it's done in a disciplined manner, and it's not just a case of flying in. What you got to do is like 1v1 when facing an opponent, but your 1v1s are all over the field, right? And then when and where to when to mark player, when to mark space, when to mark a player, when to mark space. Those are the two sessions that basically are incorporated into a pressing drill, right? So the point I make is, it's no good me flying in at you and I don't apply the brakes, because top draw players, they just go boom, boom, and they dink round you, right? What could happen is the Italians, to take the sting out of it, they'll let me, like, you're the Italian, I'll go flying in, they'll let me smash into you, and they'll get the free kick and fucking slow it right down. And then they'll get another free kick and they'll slow it right down. So all of a sudden you're looking around, you're thinking, well, hold on, maybe I should sag off a little bit now and concede the ball. You know what I mean? That's exactly what they want.
Interesting, fascinating.
What it is, it's a mental thing as well.
Psychological battle, isn't it?
It's a psychological battle all the time, at every level. So I'm talking from every level other than international football. So in past decades, I haven't had enough respect for that.
It's terrifying, isn't it? Well, yeah, and I mean, it's just so fascinating. I think I put on Twitter about getting golden nuggets out of your head, but you know, that's just such fascinating insight for me, and hopefully for the listeners and the subscribers and the viewers, because you just don't hear that, you know, and you can imagine it. You know, it's if you know, I've been in a couple of tournaments, only at youth level with Chelsea, but I've been in a couple of tournaments where we had a French team who I forget. The reason I remember it is because we had a Spanish team and we had Inter Milan, right? And they were flying in all over the place. So you go, all right, okay. You know, you respect it, but you just go, what can I do to counter it? Right? So to fuck them off and push them back, if you can't pass around them or you can't skip around them, which you wouldn't do in the defensive third anyway, what you do, you just let them smash into you and you get the free kick, let them take your legs away and you get the free kick. It calms them down a little bit. You understand? It does feel a bit like a boxing match, you know, where someone's going in swinging and you kind of just, you roll the punches or you let them hit you a few times, or, you know, I mean, it's I don't know, it's pugilism, I suppose is the word.
Well, it is in a way, yeah. It is in a way. Yeah, what you can't do is you don't want to go, you want to be more Eubank than Ben. You understand? You want to be more Agler than Ernst. You know what I mean? Because like you, even latter day when he'd go like boom and he'd take a couple Frotch. He'd go in bang 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 bang, and then he'd take a couple, but he's well covered. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You go, we'll take a couple, we'll take a bit of pressure, we'll take the thing, but it's the killer one. No, it's the wrong word. The one where the one who's a little bit more composed, like a Eubank, and then he just go bang, or Frotch against the kid
Groves.
Yeah, bang, and then before you know it, that's it. It's all over.
Good
at that level, it will be. At that level, it will be.
Yeah, and I you know, I guess we've got, in terms of finishers and goal scorers, I think I would say we've got more of a knockout artist than they have. I don't know what in terms of Immobile. I mean, the clue's in the name with Immobile.
Yeah. Someone said he's exceeded all expectations when you think of his surname. Yeah, but I think there's a few, Joe. I think there's a few. We know we've got Harry. He's a world-class finisher.
Yeah.
I think Sterling's been England's player of the tournament. It's a toss-up really between the the bubbling to the surface for me of Calvin Phillips. You know, but in terms of finishes, we got Sterling, we got Kane. I think he could explode a shot off if he comes on. Foden, I think he'd be capable of getting a goal. I think Sancho could be capable of getting a goal. So I think we're well blessed with a couple of decent finishes. But if, in terms of replacement, I think it's all going to be, in the end, it's going to come down to a lot of it will come down to, not all of it, a lot of it will come down to athleticism.
Yeah.
And I think we might have, we're more than a match for Italy. We might even have too much for them in certain areas. That will be the key. That will be the key. Me personally, I would just keep doing what Italy do. I say, right, we'll play you at your own game.
Yeah.
What they do, they're very good at this. Bring you in narrow, punch the ball wide, get the overload with a fullback. Bring you in narrow, punch the ball wide. You understand? And what we can do that as well, but higher up the field with regards to the centre backs. And then if we want, we just have a little spell where just tell them to sit, right? The wing backs, that's if he plays wing back. And then we start getting Chiellini and Bonucci in the channels, expose them in the channels.
Drag him into that deep water and drown.
But if it was me, that's what I would pick, the same side that started against Germany, and it would be a back five. I think it'd be borderline professional suicide if he starts with a flat back four.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Facetious question time now. What England song do you prefer? Three Lions or World in Motion?
Neither.
Okay.
Neither. My be all and end all. My be all and end all is Jerusalem.
I was gonna say, what gets you going? That's what I'm saying. What are you gonna have
that's what gets me going. I even sing it in the cab. I got it on CD. I got it on CD. I sing it in the cab. I know it word for word from when I was a kid. I remember singing it in the infants, the juniors, and then in the senior. By the time I got to the seniors, I started fucking about. So, but now I've turned full cycle.
You've gone back, yeah.
I've gone back, yeah.
I prefer World in Motion, hence the shirt. But anyway, we'll that'll be my tune before the game, and hopefully I don't have too many beers. It's a bit of a crap kickoff, isn't it? Time 8 o'clock on a Sunday, but anyway,
it's just right. It's just right. What you do, you have a late lunch, line your stomach, and then go for it.
Okay, all right. I'll take a leaf out the Sitton book then.
Yeah, he's mullered me. Yeah, that's the second time he's mullered my trade. Johnson, he's talking about everyone getting a day off on the Monday.
Oh yeah,
yeah, like fast tracking an impromptu bank holiday. Yeah, so if collusion with Uber wasn't enough, and Tory corruption and collusion with Uber wasn't enough, he's now saying take Monday off and don't go to work. So we ain't gonna. There won't be a fare to be found anywhere. Yeah.
Well, we might as well have a few beers then, John, and enjoy it.
Yeah,
and
enjoy it. Yeah,
it is open for a great result. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that, and we will be doing another one. Hopefully it's a positive one. And
it's coming on.
It's coming home.
But if it doesn't, it's a step in the right direction.
Exactly. We're in the final. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. Got to learn from it. Well, what did you say? Rufenhall said, "You don't lose, you learn."
No, you lose and learn.
You lose and learn.
Hasenhüttl, yeah, but that's an old martial arts saying.
Yeah.
We used to do the groundwork, and if someone ended up getting an armbar on you or a choke, and you tapped out, you would say what you do, you replay it in your head, and you don't fall for that again. You don't fall for the same maneuver again.
Well, that's a very good attitude to go into the game. I think we've done amazingly well to get to the final, and we've already won. But let's try and actually win it. As always, guys, like, subscribe, follow John, send me some questions. Great. If your feedback's been amazing. I think you can agree with me there, John. It's been really, really great, guys.
Very positive, amazing feedback. Yeah. Subscribers are going up.
Yeah,
they've gone up quite significantly over the last 2 or 3 days.
Yeah,
spread the word, view, like, share, subscribe.
Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah,
as
definitely.
The sayings go.
Yeah. So me and John will be tweeting it, the link, and please do share, and hopefully get some more people listening, because hopefully you guys, I know the hardcore followers love it. Let's try and get some more people to listen to it. But thanks, guys, and we'll speak to you after the final. Cheers, John.
And thank you from me for following and subscribing, and the positive feedback's been immense. Thank you.
All right. Cheers, guys.
Thanks for your time, Joe. Cheers, everyone.